Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Lucid, and I'm joined once again by Maryland.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day.
Yes, and it's turn, I think, 25, and we are picking back up with the tournament finals. So I guess we go by the messages.
Or should we do one of those little summaries?
Yeah, where did we leave off? I don't know if we remember. It's been a few days since we recorded.
Well, I believe basically we've got one nation completely dead, um, and we've got three nations in deep distress, and we've got two fairly blatant leaders, which is Jotun and Pan, in terms of they're bigger and they have almost everything still available to them. And then we've got a number of, you know, nations in that sort of second tier, which are
Mm-hmm.
all in good shape, but most of them just kind of holding off while they see what develops.
Yeah,
And I think that's kind of the basic summary of the situation. We haven't heard much from Pan recently, but you can clearly see that he's in a solid position with great thrones. But Jotun also has a lot of provinces and a lot of gems.
right.
And I think that kind of sums up the strategic situation we're sitting in. So we're about to be down from 16 to probably 12 players. And then I think it's a crapshoot how it's going to go from there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary, I think. But some of these players who have not died yet are really holding on. Like Pythium, we got to see the Divine Emperor Thug.
Right.
And
Right.
Bandar Log, we haven't gotten to see him play his hands yet. But yeah, so let's start. We've got Ulm here sending us a message. Where's all the fire sites in this game? It's rigged.
It just happens.
Sometimes you don't
Just
get lucky.
happens. Yeah. Sometimes site distribution is not your pal, and other times it's awesome.
Oh man, he literally has not a single fire site. I'm clicking around looking. He has
But
his
can you jump to the gem graph
yeah.
just
We'll,
as an
we'll look.
overview of this?
So he literally has zero fire income. Like not. I think he has literally zero. Not a single fire gem.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's rough.
Which
But
if you're Ulm, he's getting very close in research to lanterns.
right.
He's going to be at lanterns very quick, but he's not going
Yeah.
to be able to build any because he doesn't have any fire gems.
Oh, his gem income's actually quite poor.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He did the RNG. RNGesus did not favor him when it comes to gems.
Yeah.
Unless he gets quite a few from Bandar, but it looks like he's not.
Yeah. I think his only hope is if he site searched this land for fire already, he can maybe remote site search fire and hope he finds a few, but that's
Yeah.
going to be pricey. Or he can try to trade for gems, or sell lanterns and only
Well,
make gems off of that.
well, that's kind of when I wanted to see the graph to see if he had enough other gems to trade, but he doesn't really.
Right. All right. So first, let's see what happens here in Bandar Log. So Bandar Log sending out a little scout, and this is a very angry Olmish army.
Yeah. Well, why not? I mean, you might as well probe it, and he can check the formations and get a bit of a feel. It could look for gems.
All right. This is looking like flaming arrows, maybe.
Maybe. I don't think fire elementals, because
Yeah.
by the time they get to the front, I think whatever's going to happen, it'd be over.
Yeah.
Except they can go through the walls.
Woo. That's scary.
Is the fort cracked? It's not.
Not yet.
So we got another turn or two there.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So we're down to all that's left for Bandar is some kind of last-ditch defense. And I would sort of argue that his best result at this point in time is just punish Ulm.
How do you think he can? What do you think is the best? What are the types of tricks Ulm should be looking for?
I don't think Bandar has many. I just don't think.
I think there's a big army bottled up inside. So he's got. You remember he's got all those longbows, and then
It's about 300-400.
right.
But as far as I know, I would guess he's only got about 6 magi in there.
Yeah.
because he didn't make many. So many of his forts he never got labs and temples of.
Right.
And he lost the one he had, which Alm took there in the forest right beside his capital. That's the only one that was making yogis and gurus.
Oh, he did take that this time. Let's see what happened in here. I almost missed this. So, okay, commander.
Pretty basic.
Summon earth power.
Okay. Is that just for legions?
Yeah, legions of steel.
Legions. Okay. And off they go.
Strength of giants.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We've got swarm spam coming out from this guy and then returning.
Okay, but you just can't penetrate those black steel guys. Like,
Yeah. Well, some of these bugs do have that poison armor negating attack.
Oh, I see a guy bleeding, a little bit of poison, so yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So there's a little attrition. He's gonna lose a few.
I mean, if there was something inside this gate, I'll tell you, this does give me pause about, like, Ulm barely takes this kind of.
Well, if things like Rust Mist work fairly well still, they're pretty bad now. Like if he had some way to crack armor, Rust Mist or Destruction, but those don't work. Oh, well, one Rishi got away, one did not.
Yeah.
So that kind of hurts.
So I'm looking at this, but think about it. If there's 300 archers inside that wall, like if he actually has to take Bandar Log, and there's swarm spam filling up the gates, well, he's got 300 archers, that could be scary.
Yeah, I didn't think of swarm. That's actually swarm to just plug the gate so he can shoot. That might be costly for Ulm, and if he had a way to do a little bit of fear, I mean, possibly.
Yeah, like a horror helm thug stuck up in there too or something.
Yeah, but his chances of having death gems and death magi are very slim.
Well, he can trade for that.
But there is the nature fear spell, although it's...
Yeah, panic.
Yeah, you need a lot of it, though, to really work. I don't know. I'm a little bit... I don't think Bandar can stop Ulm, but I think he can punish him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for Ulm to take the inside of this fort, actually. Because while this army that Ulm has is very strong fighting outside of the fort, it's not of much good inside the fort. It might as well be like 10 units when it's inside the fort, just about.
But in theory, Ulm could go do some possible dirty tricks, like just send a very minimum force with some fire magi and pump out some fire elementals and do some attrition over a few turns.
Yeah, he could. Fire elementals are not going to hold up to 300 archers, though.
No. No, you're right. That might not work. It's just a thought of...
Yeah.
I mean, there are things I've done in the past, such as if you had... But those are later game if you had something...
But fire elementals in conjunction with the army could be good.
If you had some...
Because the fire elementals will go through the wall. So if he has these guys plugging up the gap and a few fire elementals on the flanks going through the wall, killing all the archers on the wall, that could be good. I was thinking if you had crossbows as Ulm, which Ulm does have, you can either have the sappers, which are pretty expensive, or you can have the arbalists who, hit like freight trains, but they have a low rate of fire.
Well, a possibility for Ulm would be, with enough commanders, send a token force into the gate, have all of the rest of them on guard commander, and then just sit there and try to do some attrition at the very extreme range of those longbows. It's a possibility.
I mean, with enough guard commander, he could maybe even bait the archers into running out and attacking, using up all their ammo.
Once they use up all their ammo, you'd want to really be spread out, maybe even skirmish formation and things like that, so that a lot of the arrows don't hit. It's a possibility.
Yeah, taking forts as Ulm is not a strong suit, though. It is definitely not. They're definitely a nation that can get bottled up. So that'll be interesting. Let's.
But what if he just sits there? What if he doesn't bother?
I mean, he could. But
except all the wasted mage turns.
Yeah. I mean, he also has his god. That's the other thing. He could potentially bring his god in and do big air elementals.
Right.
That may be the best thing. Put like 15, 20 air gems on his god, go in with the army, and have his god just unleash air elementals.
And leave most of the army back and just slowly chew up Bandar.
Yeah. But like 6 air elementals, I think, would make all the difference in a big fight. Like 6 air elementals will put a hurting on 300 units if you give them enough time.
They also brutally break up the fire from the Bandar archers. They'll all be shooting into their own ranks.
Right.
That would be an excellent suggestion. Good suggestion.
Okay, so we'll see what happens to them. So we have a message next from Jotunheim.
Just hang on a sec. Just back to Ulm for 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Do you think Ulm needs to be prepping for any other play at this moment? I think not. I think he can safely just take his time to finish up Bandar.
Yeah, we don't have any note on what his relationships are with Vanheim, but you know, I think you always want to worry about elves if you don't have a non-aggression pact with them. I mean, and Pangaea is a free agent now, so I think everybody who neighbors Pangaea needs to be wondering who's he going to go after next.
Right. It was just a curious question related to Ulm. Is, you know, he's committed very heavily to this siege on Bandar. So is he maintaining? But it looks like he's got some decent armies still forming in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, that was all I just wanted to briefly mention in terms of Ulm.
Yeah, one last thing on Ulm. I just want to look at these guys because I think they are pretty okay. Yeah, 17 protection. These guys are going to trade really well with with the Bandar archers, I think.
They would. He just doesn't seem to have made very many of them.
Yeah. They're a little risky to use because they will kill your own guys with friendly fire, but it's fine. In a fort battle, you just put them on fire archer, and they're going to kill all the archers.
Yeah. Yeah, solid.
Okay. Jotunheim. Things are finally heating up. Lots of talk of coalitions. NAP going down with the fish. They want some land. Vanheim will probably be joining in. They might already be in my lands. I assume Pan is coming too. I see a bunch of centaurs in 91, probably coming back from Naba. Seems dangerous giving those 2 lands by joining in a coalition against me. They're following very close behind me in terms of land or provinces. And I think they are quite more experienced players than I am. And I guess by the 2, I think he means Vanheim and Pangaea.
I guess so.
At least things will get a bit more fun than just moving around unsupported troops. Enchantment 4 this turn, so my god can jump in somewhere. So that means Cloud Trapeze.
Mm-hmm.
Then enchantment 5 for Horde of Skeletons, Foul Vapors, etc. 1 or 2 turns after. Jotunheim. Okay. So Jotunheim is starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah. But he's, you know, anybody can see he's a significant power.
Yeah, I mean, he's position 1 by a margin right now. So
did anything significant happen in his war with Vanarus?
With Vanarus, right. So let's go up here. There's this weird love triangle happening.
And it was quiet.
Scout. Yeah, nothing has happened. And he's got a bunch of Vanarusian land.
So you were commenting on you thought Vanarus would be best served by pushing back, and he chose not to this turn.
Right.
He stayed home. He just knocked that little token force off the top of his 1/4 there to the west.
Yeah.
But as we talked about last turn, that was just a dinky ass little raid force to, you know, I think keep up the initiative for Jotun.
Right.
And what did he leave? A single scout or something, or a single injured guy?
Yeah, he just left a scout.
Right.
I still think this whole, I think, especially with talk of a coalition, I think Jotunheim would be eminently well served to just give Vanarus all this back and let him and Satis fight.
Absolutely. I think we said that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, we did.
it would make sense to just sell off peace with Vanarus at this point in time.
Right.
You know what? He loses a bit of territory, but he might be waiting to see if Vanarus is, making a better offer. Now, I noticed there's a fight on the throne that Satis owns that he took from Jotun.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. This is just Satis moving in.
I thought, are we repeating a turn?
No.
Okay. Oh no, Vanarus came and took, Jotun took that back last turn. So it was 2 turns ago that Satis first took it, knocked out the fort. Then Vanarus came back. So Satis is very fixated on, I want that throne.
Which, I mean, it's a really nice throne.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Satis, I think, like, to me, it's so obvious that these two players, I guess there's a negotiation who gets the throne, but to me, it's just so obvious that they need to coordinate so that these two can fight. Like, there's no reason. This 3-way does not make any sense. Like, Satis doesn't want to fight Jotunheim.
That 3-way doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For the 3 involved.
Right.
Like, 2 of them need to come to some kind of agreement would be better for them. Which I'm not sure which 2 are the best 2.
Well, it's obvious. It's the diagonals. The diagonals can't fight each other. Well, like, it doesn't make sense for Satis and Jotunheim to fight each other. And if you take that out, then there's only 2 options left. Okay, Satis lets Jotunheim fight Vanarus, and they do something else. Problem is, all their armies are over here, their gods over here. That doesn't make a ton of sense, and Jotunheim's big, and Satis doesn't want Jotunheim eating Vanarus.
Yeah.
The other option is Satis fights Vanarus. It doesn't make sense for them both to fight Vanarus, because they're attacking through the same front.
Well, that's what I mentioned about, Satis has a better move to go northwest over into Vanarus because he doesn't care about the river. And Vanarus can't really counter raid.
Yeah.
So that's a nice direction for Satis.
Yep.
You could somewhat make a similar argument where he is in the throne, but Vanarus
over here too.
Right.
Over here, Satis has passageway all through here, but Vanarus, they would have to go fight Ulm to come down and get to Satis. So
yeah. So Satis has raiding potential there that's cheap and low risk.
Yeah. Very cool how some of these things get, generated by the random map.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's when, some of those little mobility things, I had a game where I was Sorrow, and of all things, I ended up making rings of water breathing just so I could get thugs going across rivers.
Yeah.
Like cheap Witch King thugs and things like that, or Warrior Sword thugs.
Yeah, those mobility things matter.
They can really matter. Like the snow move, I think has been very helpful for Jotun and Vanarus, particularly because they're against each other, and it's a challenge for Satis.
Right. The other option for Satis is to say, okay, you guys get... The problem with him just saying you guys get to fight would be that Jotunheim would eat Vanarus. The thing is that might not happen with Pelagia joining in and then potentially Pangaea joining in.
Right. But Satis, sadly, then stays kind of small.
Right. But they don't want to attack a cold nation. That's the only thing that doesn't make a ton of sense about them attacking into Vanarus.
And yet that's who he chose to attack. He keeps attacking cold nations. The 2 nations, to the best of our knowledge, he is still at war with Vanarus and Jotun.
Right.
Both cold nations.
Yeah.
He's done a pretty good job with it.
And he might have been able to get like a 2v1 with Agartha against End.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how of a matchup that would be. Like, Skelly Spam's not going to work well versus End. Foul Vapors isn't going to work versus End. Skelly Spam won't work because they have all these priests. But anyway.
I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I must say that since early on in this game, I find most of the decisions that Satis is making fairly opaque. They're not obvious.
Yeah.
Some of the other nations, it's fairly straightforward. I think you can look at Pan and go, oh, that's pretty obvious. You can look at Jotun and go, that's pretty obvious.
I've also played a few games with the Satis player, and I will observe they are not very fast, and they don't often initiate diplomacy.
Okay.
So that may be why he's not talking with Jotunheim.
He just isn't a talker.
He's just not a talker. And yeah. Because I think as soon as Jotunheim and Satis talk, they realize it doesn't make sense for them to fight each other. They're going to bicker over who gets the throne.
Sure.
But I think Satis actually has the negotiating leverage for the throne right now if Pelagia is attacking Jotunheim.
Absolutely.
So.
And given that Jotun took it, I think it was that fight with the Scratty that just sat there and tanked everything, basically turn timed it out. And then he pulled it back, so he didn't attempt to hold it. So he's basically saying, I'm going to harass you, but I'm not going to make a huge effort anymore.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. Have you ever played a no diplomacy game?
No, not really.
They're really weird because you're not allowed to send any messages, but little raids or little retreats or little probes, those sorts of actions can be used as a way to give a message. Whether or not the other guy interprets it correctly is awkward. But there is an element, maybe you said that Coconut, I believe it's Coconut, isn't much of a communicator. Jotun may be doing kind of a, since he's not maybe getting answers back, he might be just doing certain actions that are sending a kind of a message.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to let you build a fort there. Because every time you try to build a fort, I'll wait until you're not paying attention, and then I'll raid you again and crack your fort.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it's a viable way for Jotun to play this, is just maintain the ability to raid that throne every 2-3 turns and knock it back to no PD and everything else. Because unless Satis has come up a way to deal with those basically just turn timer thugs, Jotun can kind of do that with impunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And we see, I guess to finish up on Jotunheim, we do see Vanarus, and Jotunheim probably can't see this because they're glamored.
Right.
But there are elves that look like they're getting ready to come after a lot of this Jotun land over here.
It definitely looks that way.
He's got the Valkyries slow walking up this way. He's got the fast cav, sprinting up here.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if he just attacks next turn.
Yeah.
I mean, because quite frankly, this is completely inadequate to hold this from Sacred Cavalry. This does not have mage support that we know of. Sacred Cavalry with mage support, if the one thing that may be able to hold it for him is like a shock resistant Scrotty, because the Scrotty won't care that much about the heavy cav. It's the little lightning bolts coming from the mages that will bother him.
Yeah, and he does have the possibility of putting the Scrotty into the stealth form, sneaking it in, gearing it up, and then it's inside.
Yeah,
that's an option. So he does have a certain amount of, there's that trick where you send a scout with the gear and the Scrotty, and I think it's wolf form, and have it sneak to where you need it, and wait till the guy's not paying attention, and then have it on stealth.
Yeah. And I mean, even that can kind of be undone by, like thugs that basically anti-thug thugs that Vanheim has.
Oh, there's numerous counters to it. I just mentioned.
Yeah. But those are those are actually kind of hard to pull off for a Scrotty a little bit. I remember I played Vanheim. I was fighting Niflheim, And I lost quite a few thugs to Scrotty, where my thugs were anti-Scrotty thugs. Like, their whole job was to kill Scrotty. So they're hard to thug against in melee.
Right.
Or they
I
can
was just
be.
mentioning that there's just certain options that I think, I mean, arguably, I think Jotun also has the little stealthy goblin guys. So there's that possibility. It could be sneaking some of those in there. And don't some of his other magi for Jotun have some stealth? Or is Scrotty his only option?
We'll have to look. Let's see. I honestly cannot remember at all.
Well, I thought.
Well, he's got the hags, which are definitely stealthy, but the other main mages are not.
He's got no significant amount of magic movement.
Right.
He could possibly teleport Gija, I think, if he had an S2.
Right, and he did find a Windmaster site that he may end up using.
Okay, so he has some possibilities to sort of wait till that's sieged. It's a fairly big fort, and then pop some stuff into it. So if he chose to hold it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he does want it. It is a growth run. I think people do want that growth run because everybody took growth too. I don't think he's claimed it yet, though.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see if a big coalition does form.
Oh, he has.
Him. Now, if I was the opponents, I would not allow Pangaea into that coalition.
Yeah,
that's a terrible mistake. That's a terrible mistake. Letting the number 2 player eat the number 1 player.
Yeah, Pangaea, they've got a big old force over here. Speaking of them, let's see if they didn't send us a message, but let's take a look.
Are they building a fort there? I believe they're building a fort there. Oh, they took this. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this looks familiar. Didn't we watch this?
No, he had another battle kind of like this.
Okay. You know, I have had a terrible time sometimes. They're really tough to kill.
All right. I'm not sure if people are going to be able to hear you over the battle noises. I don't know if I can turn those down.
Did you? Yeah, I can't hear your battle noises today. You haven't.
Oh, huh. Okay. I guess they don't get broadcast through you.
They have in the past.
Huh.
I'm not really sure why they're not coming through today.
I don't know. So anyway, he took that pretty clean. I mean, if we look at it, there are a bunch of fire elementals that got summoned, and then otherwise, he's got magic weapons, so he just pokes through the fire elementals. He pokes through the wisps.
Well, it's just I just noticed the wisp held up quite a while. It didn't cause them significant casualties, but I have had problems in the past with wisps just busting formations.
Oh yeah,
in a really awkward way.
Yeah, well, they do have 20 defense, so they are, even if you have magic weapons, they're a little tricky to hit. But these white centaur, once they get buffed up, we'll just look at them. And if they go berserk, this is going to jump up to 14. So they're going to be able to hit the wisps still.
Yeah.
But and then the magic weapons. Yeah.
But very cheap.
Yeah.
Very cheap. Cost them very, very little.
So Pangaea has this. I think his plays are like, okay, well, let's come over and get this throne too. Which honestly would not be a bad move, because you really kind of don't want Pelagia to set up shop in there.
Pelagia, I believe, sent us a message saying that's what he was going for. Or something along those lines. Well,
he's ended his nap with Utgard, which indicates this is a lower priority for now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just would be leery of, if you're going to make an agreement with Pangaea to help out on a coalition against Jotun, you sure want to be sure you're going to be taking your chunk of Jotun's lands before Pan can cut you off.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, if Pangaea goes in, he's going to basically block Vanheim.
To a great extent.
That would be a little weird for however that would work out.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see how that plays.
Pangaea just has a lot of options right now because most people are in wars. Uruk's not in a war. Ashdod's not really in a war. because I think they took. Okay, there was a final battle for Naba. Let's do that next.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right. Message from Ashdod. Research tweak. Going for enchantment 1 for emergency undead button.
Okay.
Because Ashdod gets really good reanimate dead. They get the giants.
Right.
Then construction 4 for legions of steel and gear. Then back to enchantment 5. Everyone around me has magic weapons, so not prioritizing alteration for body ethereal.
Okay.
Switched to elder recruitment for the 33% chance at getting an Earth 3, and got it first try. Very nice. Hammer's starting to come out now. Back to Zamzumi recruitment in the cap. Feel I have enough add-ons at the moment. Sages coming from the farm and shamans from the swamp.
Yeah, nice that he got the shaman. That's really nice. Storming Naba this turn. Cool.
Let's hope he doesn't have tech or traded items to hurt me too bad. The lack of very strong chassis on his side should mean I'm fine. But he can certainly raise my attrition.
Okay, so this we now know already. Oh.
Diplo update. Vanheim tore through Bandar Log and the time I've been sitting on Naba. That's some steamrolling right there. Yeah. Both he and Pan... Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Well, we predicted that.
Yeah.
That when he said he was going to try to grab some Bandar, I remember him saying that. I thought, it's too late. It's over.
Oh, right. Yeah. Both he and Pangaea have taken no losses. It's frightening. Just picking up free land while others take caps. This is why Sacred Heavy Cav is scary. They find a partner early on. They get a big jump start. So plans to catch Van while busy were simply a bubble. A thought bubble. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree there.
Seems Jotun is the next target for... seems that Jotun is next for a coalition with his huge start. I'll try to take a nibble too, but my next war will probably be with Uruk against Zibalba.
I think that's a smart choice. Can we look at his map situation for Ashdod?
Yeah, can we watch the battle on the cap first?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So we've got the last stand of Naba. We've got about 20 camel riders, about 30 of these great bows.
So the devils are an interesting choice.
Ooh, I wonder if you got a soul contract.
No, looks like you just summoned.
I'm betting $1 there's a soul contract.
You think so?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I kind of do.
He would have had to have got it quite a long time ago. Because that's, 8? So that's 8 turns back. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Cool. A little bit of luck. Okay, that's interesting. It's too bad that he doesn't have much for a flying thug. Because then you can do a little more interesting things. Because right now, at best, they can do hold attack rear with those devils, and I think they're going to get chewed up before they do anything.
Yeah, they're not going to do too much against those Anakites while they're all grouped up.
I have another comment here. It looks like he might have run out of gems.
Yeah, there's really just not much on these mages.
I'd have been stuffing... and I don't see fire gems.
Yeah, I'd be interested if you were watching Naba player, let us know what you're thinking. Like, I don't know what the script is. I mean, to me, what it looks like is he wants to clog the gate up, have his archers hit, and have these guys drop evocations on top.
But the last fight he did so well with a fair number of fire elementals, and they worked well. And then he had magma bolts, or was it? I think it was magma bolts and fireflies, and the fire magic was very significant against Agartha. Oh,
got a piercer on that dude.
Okay, so I think he ran out of fire gems. So all he's got left is a little air and a little earth.
Yeah, this just does not look like enough chaff.
No.
For his plan. His whole plan is based on holding these guys at the gate.
Yeah. Oh, are those ogres he summoned?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just more meat to hold the gate. Oh, spellcasting was interrupted.
Oh, of what did it say? Oh, I guess somebody back here, probably from the birds.
Okay. Oh, that's probably it.
Oh, they're coming through.
Oh my God, they're through already.
The hold and attack might not have been the right call on these guys. They probably needed to be on attack.
Oh, hit pause for a second. Go see what the devils do. Well, we'll see them in a minute. Oh, there they are.
Oh, hello.
Oh, and they're busy eating vine men. That's too bad.
Well, I mean, it's good they're not stuck on anakites.
Yeah.
But, oh, there's some add-ons over here. Oh, if they kill these add-ons, okay. Looks like they're running. Oh no.
Oh no.
They're going. Why they really don't like those vine men.
That's too bad.
And this is not a good look.
No, the Malika are dying already.
Oh, that was Thunderstrike though, wasn't it?
Well. I think so, yeah.
I think this might could have worked actually. They had to keep them. They just needed chaff to keep the gate clogged. Because like Thunderstrike would do some pretty good work on these dudes.
You know, there's a funny trick I used once to plug a gate. And it's a funny one. But I bought some ogres and a bane and a handful of whites. And I stuck them all sitting in the gate. And ogres happen to have enough cold resist to avoid the chill. And they sat there and they plugged that gate forever. But he doesn't have death. But still.
Yeah, he doesn't have cold resistance. That could have been an interesting thing.
But they're just, you know, it was just I don't very often think of using ogres unless I'm just, it's all I've got left for, because I did look into one time, if you do the numbers on siege defense, if ogres are enough to hold up walls, and sadly you just can't buy enough of them.
Yeah.
The number of gems you'd have to spend to get enough ogres to hold your walls up doesn't work.
Right.
So I did it instead, as I just used them as cold resistant meat to plug that gate.
I didn't actually know they had cold resistance. That's kind of cool.
They do. They have 10 or so.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So he took quite a fair losses. That's 21
Yeah. I think if he clogged the gate, he would have won.
I think if he had plugged the gate, it might have made it, because they got in and then spread.
Yeah.
And that's a bad result.
Yeah.
That's a really bad result.
And, you know, a lot of these Thunderstrikes had friendly fire where they were hitting their own dudes or things like that. Whereas if the gate was clogged, the Anakites would be all bunched up and they would get, you know, maximum
I agree with you.
Juice out of it. Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
Hindsight is 2020. And right off the top, just looking at his setup, not having fire gems, that was, I think, a huge part.
Yeah.
Although, you know, Ashdod does have quite a lot of fire resist.
But you know, like those will-o-wisps might have been actually the best thing for clogging that gate.
Oh, they might have been quite amazing.
I don't know if he has five yet, but our corpse candles, he probably didn't have those. But any of these things would have been good. You know, Swarm obviously would have been great, but he didn't have nature.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything really would have been better, or maybe more summons. I think you're right though. He probably just ran out of gems.
I think he did. Yeah. So he's out. That's it.
That's it.
So that's 2 players finished.
Right.
Where are we at 3 now? Can you look at the?
Yeah. No, that's 2 defeated. Mictlan and Naba.
And so Pythium is still not quite dead.
Right.
Okay.
So people who are rooting for Naba, pour one out. They were, I think, they were the only player to go full scales, like almost perfect scales. And I don't think this is a proof that build couldn't work, because they were a little greedy at points and they got unlucky with the event here on the.
That was a huge setback. I mean, what did we calculate? 1,000 or 1,500 gold? No, more than that.
Yeah.
Because
the lost income and all that. Yeah.
That was a huge.
It was a huge setback.
But he did do that brilliant defense against Agartha.
Right.
And punished Agartha very severely for an excessive arrogance.
Right. So it could have worked, but we honestly he never even offered any resistance against Pangaea. So it would have been interesting if things had gone better for him, or if he had made other decisions so he had more units. I would have liked to have seen a more thorough battle against Pangaea.
Yeah. There's also a certain element of sometimes your Diplo just doesn't go well.
Yeah.
Like you make certain choices who you're going to talk to, who you're going to try to connect with.
Right.
If you don't know those players, you might pick somebody, you might, make an NAP against somebody that you don't have really good communications with. And so that NAP does not particularly advance your position.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying is that you want to make agreements with people that will communicate well so that you can coordinate actions. We were talking about a game I have where I have agreements and they're good allies in terms of they're reliable, but they're not very good communicators. So I never know what the heck they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't know what they're going to do, it's really risky for me to push in a direction they might also push and then have a bump and damage both of us simply because we didn't communicate.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that some of what went wrong for Ind was, I don't want to call it a diplomatic failure. I want to call it just maybe luck with who you got neighbored with and how well you talk. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering if he does comment on this when the video goes up, he might want to tell us a little bit about how his Diplo went, because I don't remember him giving us a lot of indication.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was just kind of surprised when the 3v1 happened. But
here's a funny note. That crazy province in the forest there with all the vine men is still independent.
Oh yeah. It's lived longer than some players. So
yeah. And I think the issue is they might be able to see that there's not that much to be gained by it for that big fight.
Yeah, I mean, I would still.
But I think that's pretty funny that that's still sitting there.
Yeah, that's very funny. Okay. And as we pour one out for Naba, let's remember the holdout he had against Agartha, which was pretty great, and the holdout. He did make Ashdod pay the price to take his cap. So
20. What is that? 7 turns of cap only recruitment.
Yeah. So
that's painful.
Yeah. Good game, Naba.
Good game.
See you in the next one. Okay, let's move on to Uruk.
Well, but hang on. We still had one more tidbit with Ashdod.
Oh, yes.
His talk about that he thinks his next good target is Zibalba. So
right.
How's he going to get there? Oh, he's got lots of options.
Yeah, he's got... Well, yeah. I mean, he goes through here. He's got basically 2... He's got 2 choke points. Basically this one and then this one.
Right.
And then sort of this one.
Is that a little army of stealthy Bakemono sitting there in that mountain? Okay,
yeah, looks like he's going to be sneaking around.
50 Bakemono show can take out pretty much any PD.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Because he must be getting those Bakemono from, that other forest. I think he's recruiting them in the forest just to the southwest of that. So those make for an interesting option. And it doesn't look like Zibalba has any indication that something's brewing.
Right. And he's about to get 2v1'd by Uruk and Ashdod.
Okay, that's going to be an interesting result.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And we get a message from Uruk to that effect, ending my nap 3 with Zibalba this turn, hopefully with the aid of Ashdod.
But Zibalba has a 3-turn warning.
Right.
So he knows something's playing.
But he's still stuck a little bit with his pants down while he's waiting to finish off Pythium.
Oh, geez, and it's still not broken.
Right.
Oh, my. That's... Ouch.
So that's going to be a little bit dicey for him. But okay, for Uruk... Wait.
What the heck?
Oh, he's been assassinating.
What the heck?
He's been assassinating. He has amphibious assassins.
Is it that we missed that?
Well, they don't pop up in events, but yeah, he's got amphibious assassins.
Oh, we don't see them. Oh my, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, that puts a bit of a kink in Uruk's plans.
Yeah, I'd be salty as hell about this. And this thing has killed several Uruk thugs, if I recall. This has killed at least 2 Uruk thugs, I think, right? At least one. I thought 2.
He bumped in there at least once with a quite expensive thug.
Yeah.
Oh my! But that also gives Zibalba biting this soft underbelly kind of option, submarine raiding from there.
Yeah.
And there's really very little. He can't really get other troops there.
Zibalba?
Yeah. He could buy what's local.
Yeah, and he can march. It's a safe spot to move armies into. Like if he puts an army in the pond here, hops here, he can hop here and then jump around.
That's a pain.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 turns to prep.
Yeah. This was
That's a significant move.
It almost suggests that Zibalba knew Uruk was going to end their nap with them. Like, this is a pretty hostile move.
Taking a pond in the middle of somebody's lands without an agreement is quite hostile. I would consider that a violation of the NAP almost. Not quite.
Yeah, it's not. It's not, but it's hot. It's very aggressive.
It's aggressive.
If you were an underwater nation, like if Pelagia were to jump over here and take it, it's a little different than Zibalba doing it, because it's kind of understood that especially in vanilla, it's very hard to contest underwater nations for underwater provinces.
Absolutely.
So if they get it, it's just kind of like, okay, fine. But when Zibalba takes it, it's like, you asshole, because they don't really have much better claim to it than you do.
In Tournament 13, my game, I did take all the pawns near me with Fomorian kings, but I did not try very hard to hold them if, for example, Therados tried to come at them. Right. Therados was the underwater nation, because that was not a great place for me to be trying to put a hold on.
Right.
On the other hand, Therados didn't push at them, which I thought was a little surprising.
Problem, though, of taking an isolated pond is you can't trace income from it necessarily. So
Right.
Okay, so Uruk, he's got armies over here. He doesn't have like an overwhelming amount of stuff to go attack Zibalba with. So
no, but he's got 3 partial forts.
Yeah.
1 capital complete fort. No, he's got a lot of forts. So if he's sitting on cash, how's his research? And
I think it's pretty good, but I think it's also a little middle of the pack. So I would guess like research would be top 4, if I had to guess.
So
yeah,
he's good.
Research he's 4th. God,
Yeah,
so good at guessing. Jim income, he's okay, not great.
Okay, Ulm is such an outlier on the research. If you turn Ulm off, those charts don't look so weird. Everybody's all the significant players are kind of the worst of the power players. Well, Van and Pan are the worst of the power players.
Yeah. So, it'd be interesting to see what he's got. Zibalba can do foul vapors. They can do skelly spam. They can do some fatigue plays with cold and rigor mortis. But honestly, Uruk, depending on what they have researched, they're going to have all the tools they need to deal with it. They're going to have Holy Communion so they can banish the undead.
Right.
They can have poison resistance, like Poison Ward that they put on their troops.
Yeah, I've never played Uruk, so I'm not particularly familiar, but he has shown he's had a couple of painful losses when he's tried to sort of push the edge of grabbing territory. But other than that, it's Uruk with those crazy Misushu.
Yeah.
Well, those are hilarious.
Yeah, those are funny.
And actually, given that those things are 200 gold, these armies might be significantly more dangerous than they look like.
Yeah.
Because from what we saw, 2 or 3 of those things tend to chew up everything.
Yeah, and then just be a fear ward. So
right, and almost lossless. Because even if you kill off the driver, that damn thing just sits there and plugs up your whole formation.
Yeah.
So,
But I think there's a real game here because I think, like, on one hand, I think Uruk has a lot of the tools that they need to deal with Zibalba. Like, especially banishment communions for dealing with Skelly spam.
right.
But there's a game because Zibalba also has, they've got assassins, so they could kill your crappy little communion mages who are going to be horrible in assassin battles.
Yeah.
If you don't bring enough banishment, like you have 2 or 3 banishers and they've got like a full powered, bat flying in communion of Skelly spammers, like you could be in for a real sad day.
And bat rating is very cheap.
Right.
Like suicidal bat rating is so cheap that why not do it?
Right.
You send one, what is it? The Way, I think.
Yeah. The Way.
Blood
yeah.
and Nature. Give it a gem. Give it a nature gem.
Do
and
Swarm.
Send it with a few thoughts and just be a complete irritation at a dirt cheap cost.
Yeah. Okay. Message from Zibalba. Going Alt 5 this turn. Enchantment 5 after that. So Alt 5 is going to mean Wooden Warriors, which all his ways the bats can cast. And then Enchant 5 is going to mean Foul Vapors and Skelly Spam. Getting ready to pounce on my next target, not sure yet who. So it looks like...
We now know who.
Yeah, we know who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Worst thing would be is if he picked a fight with somebody right before the other two jumped him, though.
But he got a 3-turn warning, so...
Right. And nothing's happened over here with Pythium, so we'll keep moving. Battle here versus some barbs. Ending our... Oh, Agartha ended the nap. I'll start mobilizing. So Agartha wants to attack end to end.
Oh. But Ian just told us he wants to help out. That was Ashdod. Sorry,
yeah, that was Ashdod. Yeah, and had come over here and they had gotten this throne and kind of drawn up peace with Vanheim. And I think they got paid off a little bit. But they are pretty well in position, actually, to deal with Agartha. So...
Yeah, this is not going to be easy for Agartha.
There's things I can see working out. Like Agartha with the crossbows. I think the crossbows are going to be pretty good against End. The Magma Children should be okay. They're not going to be great, because I think End has 5 fire resistance.
Something like that, yeah. And the other thing is, if he's got fairly good... can we just review the magic pass of End again?
Oh yeah, they basically have astral ones they get everywhere, and then in their cap they get these guys who can jump in a communion and do all the fire earth stuff.
Okay.
And then they have a little fancier dude who can this guy you use mostly for teleporting, but he gets a little better paths.
So depending on Ian's research, he's got the potential for boosting his protection and boosting his fire resist for his sacred packs, both of which are a pretty solid counter to Magma Kids. Like I use that combo of both fire resistance and protection, because how that works, I think it goes against the fire resist first, and then whatever damage penetrates the fire resist of the Magma Kids then does a calc against your protection with armor piercing. So if you can lower it even 5 points with just 5 fire resist, that 12 damage standard attack from the Magma Kids is significantly reduced.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it, getting off Fire Ward or what have you to get that fire resistance before you have things like Fire Fend,
not too hard.
It's a little tricky because you have to bring the gems and all of this, but you can do it. And it, like you said, it's going to make a big difference when you can pull it off. And
but you can do both. You can do Marble Warriors, or you can do just Legions of Steel.
Yeah.
And both are going to make a significant difference. Legions didn't work for me because I was Kalesa and had Yaksha. So they don't have base armor, so Legions doesn't work. But Marble Warriors was stunningly good.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be doing Barskin.
Right. Which is something End can also do. They do have nature access. But I think the problem I see in this move for Agartha is that to kill End, they have to kill the Mage Core. And that is a lot of smites per turn, potentially, or mind burns a turn.
Yeah.
The way I think it could work for Agartha is if End underestimates them and they expose their army to Agartha with minimal mage support, which so far End hasn't really been doing. So far, End has mostly been bringing a fair amount of mages with his big armies. But if Agartha can get a big army off the table so that by the time it gets around for him to fight the Mage Corps event, the armies are mostly gone, that might work. But it's not it does not seem to me to be a super Agartha favored matchup.
It doesn't. I actually might have, if I was Agartha, I might have looked towards going at Ulm instead. Depends on how much he knows about what's going on. If he knew that Ulm is really quite tied up.
Yeah.
Because the Ind right now doesn't have any reason not to just defend his lands. He's got no other threats.
Well, I mean, the other option is Vanheim, to be honest. Magma Children versus 5 fire resistance Vans will murder them.
Yeah. That's a very bad attrition for Van.
Yeah. And, I mean, honestly, this would be potentially a great opportunity for these guys to work together. Where End eats this and Agartha eats this.
Yeah. So I guess
I like the... I mean, there's not... I can't even imagine what I would really do.
A lot of lightning and air elementals, I think.
Yeah.
Air elementals will die to the magma kids.
Right.
But they'll trash formations. And given the number of crossbows coming there, anything that gets in the back line, actually even imps, have the potential to be a bit of a threat towards Agartha.
Yeah, I think I like this matchup better, though.
I do. I like either Ulm or Van. I agree with you on the Van. If Agartha wants to make a move, those two directions. First off, if you just
he's fighting into attack advantage and into superior troops, though. I don't know if I'd love that, but
maybe not. But if you look at like where he can see garrisons, he can see that it has significant garrisons right on his border.
Yeah.
And a fort, whereas both Ulm and Vanheim have nothing.
Right. And I don't think he has a strategic advantage against Ents, though. Like, I don't think there's anything about this matchup that I look at and I say, he's going to wallop the shit out of End.
No, it doesn't look like a great matchup to me.
Yeah.
It looks like to End's advantage, especially on the defense.
And even if it's a draw, it's not, you don't want to go into something that may be a draw. You want to have a decisive advantage. I think he does have... Like, when the best thing Vanheim can do against you is air elementals, you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
But
maybe we just
have
a better grasp. And we happen to have omniscience, so we can kind of see the diplomatic situation.
Right. And we can see glamored units. You know, for all Agartha knows, there's 50 Vans and a bunch of dudes sitting here. Yeah. You know, I mean, there are some Vans sitting over here, but... Yeah. There's honestly not that much stuff. And, I mean, some of it could be sneaking, but God, there's not much stuff over here in Vanheim.
No.
I think that is actually a big thing. The glamour plays such a huge part of elves, because a lot of times you feel like elves are unending, but most of the time there's actually not that many elves on the map.
No, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so End moving over here to deal with Agartha. So this war is looking like it's going to happen pretty soon. We've talked about End, we've talked about Agartha, we've talked about Ashdod, we've talked about Pan and Uruk, and Zibalba, and Pythium.
I believe we're done.
Vanarus, we kind of talked about them proximally. But the real question is, are they going to roll out, and what are they going to roll out with?
Right.
We can see he's using a lot of mages, though, which is... good, I think, for dealing with Scrotty. You don't want to send in troops for Scrotty.
No, but we didn't. He didn't do any of the moves we predicted last turn in our discussions. So
yeah.
So I'm not sure.
All right, so we'll have to see. So I think we're going to call it there for after this episode.
There's one nation we didn't talk about.
Oh, who is that?
Very brief. We just didn't talk anymore about Pelagia except indirectly.
Right.
There was a comment by somebody on, I think it was from Jotun, on what he thinks Pelagia might be about to do.
Well, Pelagia ended their nap with Jotun. So
Okay,
they're going to be making landfall here, and we're
Yeah.
probably trying to get all of this, including this throne, I'm guessing.
And the question will be, does he try to hold or just grab some
Right.
short-term gold gains? Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for joining me, Maryland.
You are most welcome. This series has really taken off. I've been watching the comments and reactions, and it's getting my subscribers are going way up since this.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's gonna,
Yeah, y'all go check out Maryland's channel. I've got a link to it in all the descriptions. So
I had intended to have a new episode up today on my channel. I did an interview with Somber, and it went exceptionally well, except that for some reason I lost his voice.
oh no, that's the worst.
Yeah.
I've definitely done that before.
So I have to redo that one.
Yeah.
And that's my current new project, is a set of what there is mod showcases. So
Oh, nice.
I've also got Executor lined up to do a talk with him.
Oh, that'll be fun. Executor's got some crazy ass nations.
Absolutely.
All right. See you guys next time.